All right. So, hey everybody. Um, I just got done watching a couple hangouts today that I thought were absolutely fascinating. Um, the first one that I watched was with G-Man, um, and that one had it was JD Kane, and for the first like hour and a half or so, it was kind of a lot of back and forth, just kind of like this kind of like bitch fest in general. Um, Hold on real quick. I'm about to post the link of what I got going in the comment section. So I'll get to you guys, get back to it really quick. Because I'd like some company in here, because that would be nice. All right, let's see here. So there we go. I got it posted up. So if you're interested, come on in. Um, Atheist Dreams. It has a relation to what I'm kind of generally in the mood to talk about right now regarding it. So um, basically, like I thought, let's see, the first one that I watched that was with G-Man. It was just like this kind of just general bitch fest for quite a while. And while it was entertaining, it got a little bit more entertaining. Um, Probably when Galaxy Dreams entered, and they had seemed to G-Man seemed to be have been aware that she was kind of that she had questions, um, and so she wanted to ask some questions. So they basically dedicated the rest of that the rest of the hangout to answering her questions. And so a lot of the questions that she asked were very interesting questions, and she just generally got a lot of not super great answers to what she was expecting. She basically just got a whole bunch of answers that were pulled straight out of the Bible. Like that's it. This is it. This is the answer. Um, and that really wasn't really answering what her actual questions were. It basically gave a big biblical answer to her question, but they didn't give her like a realistic answer, like an answer that was based out of reality. And throughout that whole thing, she was just kind of like, "Yeah, I'm not really satisfied." Now, the thing that I thought was really interesting was that so G-Man had done this prank thing where he did this chocolate atheist thing where he became an atheist for like 20 hours or something. Um, and when he did that, um, he pissed off a whole bunch of people, right? But for most people, they probably thought, yeah, this is probably not really like, yeah, right. There's no way that you just, boom, you just convert. And you're just like, yep. Like one day you're here and you're a Christian and you're talking a bunch of smack against all of the atheists, and then the next thing you know, boom, you're an atheist. Like the next day. I mean that just does not happen. But like with with Galaxy Dreams, it could be seen as, yeah, she's been a Christian for a long time, and then suddenly now she's like, so what's up? What's up with this? What's up with this? I'm not really understanding this. This is kind of weird. But when you go back and you look at like a lot of the other hangouts that she's been in, she's been very quiet. She has basically just been kind of hanging back, listening, probably taking a lot of notes because she said she had like she was saying, she had a ton of pictures or of questions written down, like pages written down. Um, and I thought that it was really interesting that, like, okay, because it generally is a very long process to kind of get through it. And she was going and listening to G-Man and Veckel and um, who shall not be named, apparently. Um, and I think that it's really interesting because I feel that those that group of Christians is probably the how can I'd like something. They're the they have the most character, like and different characters. Like you've got Shannon, who is this. Generally, she's just kind of this ferocious, furious, bitchy, kind of crying and passionate, like an angry person. Like that's how she just generally. But she's okay. She's like everything she does is basically to the extreme, not to the mass extreme, but like it goes there. Like she tips. When she tips far, and she pours out a lot in whatever direction that she's going, or whatever emotion that she's doing. So she's quite the she's an interesting character. You've got Veckel, which, man, like I I feel like Veckel is really smart. Like he's an intelligent guy. It's just that he has his critical thinking skills. He just hasn't developed critical thinking skills because he's so based and sourced in this. I mean, I shouldn't say like he doesn't have critical thinking skills developed, but he's more like he's he's so entrenched in his religious belief that like he doesn't see outside perspectives really, or and he has this thing where like if you don't study scripture and you don't know the Bible, well then you're virtually not worth talking to. And I find that really, like, as if you're not worth talking to, as if what you have to say is not valid. Like you don't actually have valid concerns, which is horrible because because that basically is just saying you only have the perspective through the Bible. You can only see things through the Bible, and that's really unfortunate. Um, because he can't get through it, and he can't really like open up his mind a little bit more. Because he's so based in the Bible. Then you have, let's see, who else is there? So there was Shannon, Beckel. Um, there's what's his name? True empiricism. And true empiricism is just this kind of he's intelligent, and he has a lot of like it's clear that he has a strong vocabulary. But he is just like this monotone, blah blah blah, and it's instead of making points, he makes like speeches, and so that kind of the way that he talks is just like whoa. It's just like, you know what, like I don't even know if I even care to listen to what you have to say, because it comes off as word salad. It totally comes off as word salad. And then when you actually go back and you listen to the things that he says, like he's missing the point and he's off on another subject, like he's talking about something completely different, and that's why it sounds like it's word salad. Um, and it's just it's really weird to like to listen to him talk. Um, and then there's G-Man, and G-Man is just he's just this belligerent, like hugely egotistical like person. I watched this from I think it's Eve. I don't know what her other I don't know what her other name is, but Eve. She had this amazing hangout. And she and on that hangout he kind of showed what his personality was like, and you can see how what it was really what his actual differences were, because there's not very much difference between what he described himself as and what he was saying was like, you should have seen me when I was not a theist. I was all about Gary. Everything was Gary. Gary should do this. Gary's about this. Gary's so awesome. Gary's of this. And he's talking like that, and it was really it was kind of a trip, because you could just directly say, yeah, no, he is like that. He does do that with himself. He doesn't. He is all about. Now it's just I'm G-Man. It's all about G-Man, and so he lost like all humility. He's like, yep, you are only getting views because you're talking about me all the time. You're only doing this because of me, and I'm like the schnitz, like he's the bee's knees. He's where it's at, and it's like he's a character, like G-Man and Shannon and Veckel and even Brett Keane, which he's gone for now. I don't know when he'll be back. I'm sure he will. It's not the last of him, I'm sure. Like this whole gang of theists, they're just characters. But you don't have and so Galaxy Dreams was basically she was looking and listening to that, to these people who are not like the best debaters. They're not the best like people you can really get your theistic information from. They get, I mean, Veckel can kind of like he's pretty good, but I think that he's got a different perspective that's a lot more difficult to really to kind of deal with, and he has I guess like as an atheist, I guess I just don't think that there's really that much things just aren't very convincing, his explanations for things that come from the Bible. But anyways, so she got all of her information from them, so she did this hangout with this group of guys, and then after that, she went and she did a hangout with Eve, and that hangout blew my mind. It was amazing because you actually get to see kind of like, I think that she went through a lot of stuff before she got into before she started like really, really questioning. Like chances are she's probably gone through some emotional things. She's got some baggage, and she's probably still going to have baggage, because that stuff can be really difficult to get rid of. But I really feel that once she kind of like fills out and she's just kind of like sinks into it a little bit, I'm pretty confident she's going to have a lot of support, and a lot of people are out to like help her out with this, because I think that if anybody came on, especially on something like a live broadcast, and they say, you know what, like I have these questions and I'm questioning my faith and it's really difficult and it's hard, like anybody's gonna come out and be like, you know what, like especially atheists, I think, because a lot of atheists understand how difficult that it can be to actually go out and make that change, because your entire your your entire worldview and like how you perceive life and how you perceive things just completely changes. And the trippy thing for me is like for a lot of people it takes years for that to really like years of questioning and searching and finding to get that. But I didn't see her go through like a lengthy period of like searching. She was just kind of like, I'm quiet. Ever since I saw her in the beginning, she was quiet. And then she kind of spoke up here and there, gave her perspective, and then she eventually just was kind of like, yeah, I have doubts, I have questions. Real quick, I'm gonna refresh just to make sure and see if I've got any comments or anything like that, like if people can't get in or whatever. If you're watching, please come on in. It's just me, just kind of chatting by myself, but I'd love to have company. Um, so yeah, there's so then in Eve's hangout, it was just it was amazing. I'm probably gonna have to watch it again because it was just so interesting. Um, and G-Man gets he he doesn't I don't think he pays any attention to what he says at all. Um, he is asked a question. There's this one moment that was just like it was baffling. It was utterly baffling. Um, so he's basically in there with a room full of theists who do not agree with G-Man and atheists and the related. And so Galaxy Dreams asks G-Man a question. I can't remember what the question was, but and it was all known. Yeah, she's gonna be asking G-Man a question. And apparently G-Man was like typing away at something at the chat. And then it comes up and it's G-Man's turn to answer, and he just starts he goes right into JD Kane. And he's just like, oh, what did he say? He was like, he asked something that was just completely off topic, had nothing to do with anything. And everybody was just like, whoa, 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 whoa. You gotta you gotta answer a question. Come on, you can't duck out of this question, like, because you're there trying to like help her out. You're there trying to like hook her up. And it was just so weird because he's in there trying to do this, trying to help, like trying to keep her in the faith, and then he just walls her question. He just straight up walls it. And then he starts, when he gets called out on it, he's like, what? There's other people. There's other people in this room. Why don't they answer? You answer. Oh, hey, there's this person. Why don't you answer that question? And I'm starting to wonder, like, does he even know what her question was? And then he's like, he gets called out on like 2 or 3 times by like 5 other people. And then he's like, yeah, you know what? That's a good idea. And like it's his own idea. Like, yeah, no, you know what? I should. That'll be good. That'll be good for me to do that. Like as if it's his own idea, it came off like. And so he answers it, but it's like this. It sounded like such a half-assed, insincere answer that's just like, it's almost like textbook bullshit answer, like just to get people off. just to get people off my shit, right? Um, and it was just like, man, he he is terrible at this. How does he do it? Like, how does he get away with being like this? And then he associates himself with all these people, and it's weird because it's kind of like you have one person who influences another person who influences another person, and so it's basically like you have Brett Keane who influences G-Man in a negative way. Like, it just makes G-Man just this ass of a character, right? Where he just blocks people, he kick boots people. He's just, I mean, chances are I don't think Brett Keane was even in that one, but that is what he likes to do. But then I think that might have been a response like from Brett Keane to just be like, I'm blocking everybody and blah blah, and he's just like ripping into people for no reason. And then you've got like Veckel, who on his own, Veckel, like you can certainly have a conversation with him, but you can never have a conversation with him, a real conversation with him, because he's got G-Man, and G-Man's always butting in and throwing out a bunch of crap, like he's just slinging shit everywhere, and so that's really unfortunate. I don't even know what the relationship between like Shannon and True Empiricism are. They're just kind of like in relation to the other guys. But I do know that everybody, whenever somebody says something, they all just nod their head and they're like, "Yep, I agree, I agree, I agree." And it's this weird dynamic because like with atheists, you don't really get that. You don't really get that. If you go into like a atheist only hangout, like people would be like, "No, I kind of disagree. Like I think of it more like this. I think of it more like this." There was a great one where I think we were talking about like objective moralities and subjective moralities and stuff like that, and so people were kind of like bouncing around like this is like kind of shooting out what they thought, um, just to see where people land. And there's at least one other person who kind of had a different perspective, um, and I understood what their perspective was, but I just disagreed with it. Um, but it was interesting that there are healthy discussions, healthy things for people to just kind of get in and understand, you know, how different things are, um, different perspectives. Um, I'm just gonna hold on for a quick second. All right. So yeah. Okay. So anyways, basically, I named this hangout Atheist Dreams, just because I'm kind of going for this. For all my hangouts, I'm gonna have like atheist or atheism something. Like my last one was atheism talk, and it was just kind of like or atheist talk, and so I was just like, yeah, you know what? Like, let's just kind of keep this rolling. So it's Atheist Dreams because of Galaxy Dreams, and that's kind of what I'm basing this off of. Is her kind of her her experience that I kind of or how her experience has kind of affected me, um, and I just think that it's really interesting that when you look at how people treat her between like she's sitting here on the fence, and she's got the I mean it's pretty clear though she's more on the no God belief, um as opposed to the God, a God belief. But when you have like her talking to the Christians and how they kind of talk to her and answer her questions, they're just really they're almost like scripted, and for the most part it is because they go straight out of the Bible. Whereas when she went and talked to the atheist crowd, um, or non and plus theist, which there's somebody in there who I thought in Eve's hangout, who I thought was amazing, in my personal opinion. I think her name was Shannon, um, not the Shannon of the G-Man group, another Shannon, and she was a theist, and she was like, I'd be very curious, and I'm very interested to know um, her theist perspective, because I talked to this other guy named Sasha G, and he had a really interesting theist perspective, um, that it just kind of blew my mind, and I was like, that is freaking cool. Um, but the way that she kind of like talked and presented herself, and the points that she made were just they were just great. Um, and I agreed. So I was just really curious to, I don't know, maybe I'll see if I can like find more videos of her or something like that, just to see where she is, like where she lands with her beliefs, because I don't see that kind of stuff very often, at least with theists. Um, but yeah, JD Kane, he made a pretty interesting, a pretty on point comment that I thought was, he was like, it's great because she's asking open-ended questions, and she's honestly listening and looking for answers, and that is incredibly rare, and that's absolutely true. That is absolutely true. Incredibly rare. I don't think um I don't think I've ever been in a hangout, and I haven't done very many, but I don't think I've ever been in a hangout where there was somebody who was actually asking real, real questions to get real answers. I try to do that. Like, I already know that I'm an atheist, but I'm open to the idea, and I'm open to the concept of there being God. Um, but there's hurdles that you have to jump through, and I think that it's kind of like if you were to, like, you have a race, right? And the race is, there's all these hurdles that you have to jump over until you can cross the finish line. Um, the way I look at it is, you have to jump over these hurdles from the starting point and get to the finish line for for me to become a theist. And I think that oftentimes what happens is I get people who skip at least the first hurdle. At least the first hurdle. They jump to like the sixth hurdle, and then they run from there. And then when they clear all of those hurdles, or at least they think that they've cleared those hurdles, then they think that they've made a good point. But they haven't, because all of those hurdles that they cleared were based on other hurdles. If I believed, if I presupposed all of the stuff before that, and I don't. So when he when somebody's just jump straight to it, they're just like, yo, um, you can't jump that far, because you have to prove at least the validity of why I should even believe in the Bible. Why should I believe the Bible is true? Because I don't see any real justification for it. Like, is it not possible? Is it really not possible for for people way back in the day to have written down a bunch of stuff and done terrible things to people and tried to justify it by saying that it was God's will? I mean, we see it today, but we don't generally believe them. When there's a woman who was, I'm assuming she was religious, and she was probably a Christian because she believes in Satan. And she said that she went and she stabbed her mom like a bunch of times because her mom was her mom and her friends and her neighbors were putting curses on her and her family. So she went and stabbed her. And she thought that she was doing good. She thought she was doing God's work. And this is all caught, it's all caught on, like, on tape. Not the actual action, but like a news crew came and they were like, "Hey, so like they were just like, so we're doing a story and here's where this event took place, and here she comes walking over, and she starts talking to the crew, to the news crew, and she's just like, "Yeah, this is what happened. She was like cursing my family, putting hexes and spells or whatever on my family, and she was cursing them." And she just confessed on tape, like, to the whole thing. And it was insane. But, like, yeah, it can be pretty, people can be pretty crazy. I'm gonna see if I'd like to see if I can get other people in here, because I might be running low on what I'm gonna talk about, but I'd like to keep it going. So let's see if there's any other avenues that I can. So I've got a Google Plus page. Probably find. Actually, probably might be harder than you would think. I've got this. I think I've got the link. I'll post it, or at least I'll make sure that I'm in the right one. 6683. Yep, that's the one. The Google Hangout. So if you're interested, hop on in. So yeah. What else? What else can I talk about? There's there's, I guess I can see if there's anything else I can think of with the Galaxy Dreams girl. I guess that I think that's really interesting that you can actually see this. You get to see that point where somebody, I think at least, has already made the decision that they don't believe in God. She's still not completely sure, but she's not ready to, like, fully go on out, because I believe that what she probably needs to do is what she feels like that she needs to do is build up some sort of defense, because so for me, I didn't get into. I've been an atheist probably since I was like 14, 15. And how I got there, I mean, I grew up being like, "Oh, in school, what religion are you?" And they'd say, "Oh, I'm a Christian," and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, me too, I'm Christian too," and that would be it. It was just kind of like a passing question that we would ask each other. But and I would go to church, but I kind of like, even in church there would be like all these stories that I would hear in like Noah's Ark, and just Moses parting the waters and stuff like that. And it was all the kids' tales portions of it. And I never believed them. But I thought that those were more like, those are interesting stories, but the point of them is that there is a God. And so for a while, I was basically just kind of like, yeah, Jesus Christ, I believe in Jesus Christ. But um, I didn't really have any foundation or real good reason for it. And so then I just took the concept of God and I questioned the concept of God and its actual existence. Like, how is it possible? Do I really see it? And in general, the answer was like, I don't see it. I don't see how. I didn't know why. I didn't know why, but I just couldn't see it even being possible. Um, and so probably by the time I was like 14, 15, I found out, like, I guess for the most part, I didn't really talk about religion and I didn't really care about it. Um, I just knew that I wasn't a Christian anymore. I wouldn't say that I was a deist. I was literally, is it's weird. Like, I suppose I was technically I was an atheist, but I didn't know that term. I didn't know what that was. And so eventually, I just kind of, like, YouTube came and everything, and I was like, okay, and I'd browse around on there, and then I'd see the term atheist, and I looked up some atheists, and I was like, oh, okay. So then I knew what an atheist was, and then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm an atheist, and that was probably when I was like 19 or something like that. I'm an atheist. But it wasn't until, I would say at that point, I was a very uneducated atheist. I could not really tell you why I did not believe. I could simply tell you it just doesn't make sense. Like, a man in the sky created everything. Like, yeah, right. It just doesn't. It's too much. It's over the top. It's overkill. Couldn't believe it. Um, and so not until about 2 years ago, um, did I actually dive into, like, atheism and see what atheism was about. And I started off listening to, like, Richard Dawkins, um, and Sam Harris, a little bit of I think, is it Dan Dennett? I think that's his name. A little bit of him. I'm And then um, Christopher Hitchens. So I listened to those guys, and after a while, and I thought they were absolutely fascinating. And then after a while, I was just kind of like, okay, this debate sounds like this debate, and this debate sounds like this debate, and they all sound the same. Christopher Hitchens is like the most entertaining one. Sam Harris is like the most thought-provoking. And Richard Dawkins was almost a mix between Sam Harris and Christopher Hitchens, because he would, like, intellectually just clown you. You would just get He would make you look stupid because of what you believe. And I think that's really interesting. He just kind of pointed that out. And then I was just kind of like hanging out, and I remember the day I was watching like a debate, and some Mormons came to the door, and I talked to them for like 45 minutes, and I told them that I was, like, just right in the middle of watching a debate, and they were like, "Oh yeah, so who's winning?" And I was like, "So far the atheists are owning them." And so we started talking, and we started talking about, like, religion. And it's weird because they're like, yeah, we don't really like religion. I'm just like, but you're like, you are participating in a religious activity right now. And they didn't get it. They were just like, what are you talking about? And I was like, you don't have any. I was like, I didn't say like you don't have any evidence. I was like, like you don't have any convincing evidence for me. Like, they're like, have you read the book? And I was just like, it's a book. That's not evidence. That's not the evidence that I'm looking for. I'm not looking for words in a book. I'm looking for action. I'm looking for something. I need something, right? So I have this discussion with these guys, right? And then I go, and they leave after 45 minutes, and I'm like, I go back, and I'm at this point, I finish off that debate, and I'm kind of like, I'm getting tired of like listening to these guys. Are there any other atheists? So I just type in like atheist, and I see, and I wish I could find the video again. It was like Matt Dillahunty epic rant or something, or epic speech or something like that. And it was like, I swear it was like 8 to 10 minutes of Matt Dillahunty just going off on just this. It was there was nobody else talking, but he was talking to somebody, or he had just gotten off the phone talking to somebody, and he was just like, it was epic. It was absolutely epic, and I was like, oh my goodness, who is this guy? So then I looked up him, and I was like, whoa, okay, so Atheist Experience, what's up with that? So then I started listening to the Atheist Experience, and I went into the backlogs. Like, I started listening in like episode 300. It was hard to listen. Like, I couldn't really find the episodes before 300, or at least they weren't all that interesting. Like 500, 600s, and they really just keep getting more and more interesting. And so then I basically watched like from 400, I'll say, all the way up to like current. And I can say that Atheist Experience taught me a lot about what critical thinking was. I lacked a lot of critical thinking skills. Um, I went through a phase where I was like questioning a lot of stuff, like basically anything and everything. I was just like, "You're on the chopping block. What's up? What do you got? Homeopathy? Yeah, I used to be all about you. Guess what? Boom, not anymore. I still think there's like portions of homeopathy that have got some validity to it, but I think that in general, like, I think that it's totally not really very efficient. Conspiracy theories, oh my goodness, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, I know, but I used to be kind of a 9/11 truther, kind of. I never went out on the streets or did any of that crazy stuff, but I bought into the whole Alex Jones bullshit, and most of it too. Like, I mean, it was probably about 6 months worth of content that Alex Jones puts out. I was just eating it up, um, to the point where I got so freaked out, and not freaked out. I just got so worn out from listening to him that I just had to turn him off. And then once I turned him off, I was like, oh my goodness, like, it's so much nicer not listening to this guy. And then I found out about all this atheist experience and critical thinking and stuff like that, and then I started applying that. Then I applied it to Alex Jones and all that stuff, and I was just like, "Yep, it's a bunch of bunk." And so I'll say what I realized. One of the key things that I realized, at least for me, that got me out of Alex Jones, was I figured out how he is able to convince people, and specifically me. Was he would give a story, and he would say, here's an event. Here's an event that happened, and this and he says, it happened. Check it out. Look it up. Don't believe me. Look it up yourself. So I write it down on a piece of paper, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna look this up. And he makes all these claims, right? And he's like, okay, look this up, look this up, look this up. So I do, and then and then what he does is he attaches this story to this actual um, event that happened, and he basically tells you why. He tells you why this happens, and so then from that, then now they just get blended into one thing. So now now you have it all, But you just accept that it is true because he already verified that the event happened, and it just gets rolled into one. And I did not have the capability to separate the two. To be like, this is a story and this is an event. And so then he does that to all these different things, but he makes all of the stories tie into one thing. And it was just like, okay, so you just make up a bunch of shit and you tie it together. That's what you do. And it's crazy. So I listened to the Atheist Experience, and it kind of taught me a lot about how to think critically. And I thank the Atheist Experience immensely for that. I feel so much more confident in myself and in my capabilities and abilities to just kind of recognize what's happening in the world around me. I don't get bullshitted. I mean, I didn't really get bullshitted there that much anyways, and I wouldn't say I was gullible. It was just I didn't have the skills to take on bigger things. I knew bullshit when I could see bullshit that was obviously bullshit, but I could get tricked, and it was fucked up. But yeah, now I'm a critical thinker, proud critical thinker. But so back on to like atheist type stuff and those kinds of discussions. One of the like whenever I go into other hangouts, like I would talk to Veckel and G-Man and stuff, and I would ask them questions, and I'm sincerely asking, like looking for an answer and looking for a real answer, and I'm not trying to trap anybody. I'm not trying to, mess with anybody in any way. I'm literally trying to just have an answer and see where that takes me. And I'm an honest guy. Like I'm just trying to be. I try to be real. But they have these assumptions, and G-Man can't get rid of these assumptions, man. He thinks, whether he wants to say it or not, he actually thinks that like atheists are evil, like they are bad people. And he's like, not all of them, because he likes I don't know if it's Lee Lemon. I almost said Liz Lemon. Yeah, Lee Lemon, and somebody else. I don't know who else. But it's just like he has these assumptions, and they're terrible. They're terrible assumptions. All this stuff is awful. All right, so hold on a sec. I'm gonna see what's going on. That's the Naruto thing. I'll just kill some time by talking about random stuff about me. I like video games. I like video games a lot. I like smart video games, generally, that you have to use your brain. Like tactics games. I can't do PC games so much, because my hands get tired on the keyboard. Controllers, I could do that all day long. Um, Smash Brothers. Look it up. All about Smash Brothers. That Project M is where it's at. Um, I wish I could get this. If you guys, if anybody, there's other viewers out there, I don't know, like, see if you can find somebody that posted, share it, share this link with somebody that you think might be interested in hopping in a hangout. I'm starting to get kind of done with it unless I can, have somebody to talk to. Um, and I'm in this Google Plus deal, and I'm pretty new to it, and I do not know how to just be like, hey, you should come in here, because I don't know how to tell who's online or what. So I got the link. The link is in the link is in the comments. Where's this Sasha G? Maybe I can get him in. I don't know how to find people on freaking Google Plus. I have no idea. Um, what's that? Hangout. I don't know how that works. Okay. Um. Well, looks like I've got 2 viewers probably. They're not interested in hopping in, talking with me. It's okay if you're a theist. I don't bite. I'm a good guy. I'm here to rip your head off. Just want a discussion. If you're an atheist, come on in and have a friendly chat. If you want, I'll stop broadcast when you come in if you want. I'm just kind of bored. Just want to talk. So, or if you want to come in later, leave a comment or something. Um, and hook it up. Come on in. Da, 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 da. All right. I guess in general, let's see. I'll give it one more shot and see if I can keep going with anything else. No, it's not worth it. I'll just end it now. All right, y'all. Had a blast. Had a blast. I wish I had some more viewers, or some more people coming in, but whatevs. Maybe next time. Peace out, guys. Take it easy.